Hi, I'm Professor Carolyn Guile,
I'm Professor Ben Stahlberg.
and we are here to explain to you our exciting plan for an extended study to Poland, which we hope you will be interested in signing up for. I thought I would just start this little segment with a couple of words on why Poland, what we're going to do there, and we'll go back and forth and tell you a little bit about some of the offerings. So one of the reasons we chose Poland is because we're really interested in this cultural intersection between East and West. And this is a place historically that is quite multicultural. You have communities of Christians, Jews, Mennonites, Tatar Muslims, Protestants, you name it, in the early modern period. Maybe not what you'd think of Poland now, because now it's predominantly a Catholic country, but historically it has this texture, and we're really interested in exploring this composition and also its progress through political independence, which was cut short on September 1st, 1939, when the Nazis invaded. You can arguably say that the partitions of Poland cut its independence short, and that's also true. So we're really interested in exploring the culture and history of Poland through its different manifestations and religious denominations through this immersive on-site experience that is going to look at religious practices, cultural heritage, and looking at how these things are intimately intertwined. And as such, one of our foci will be a discussion and exploration of memorialization through different sites and different modes. So as we go sort of further into this, we'll also look at art collections, for example, things like Leonardo da Vinci's Lady with the Ermine, which was brought into the Polish collections in the 18th century, and also contemporary art, such as the Museum of Contemporary Art in Krakow, which is a new building with a lot of new and exciting installation work going on and debates about contemporary art practices. Here we're seeing the Jewish cemetery in the Kazimierz district of Krakow. And Ben, why don't you say a few words about your points of emphasis for this trip?
Sure. Well, when you're thinking about Krakow and you're thinking about Poland more broadly, you're thinking about an area of the world that was at the center of Jewish life, thought, and culture for several centuries. And so one of the things that we're going to be interested in thinking about is thinking about how that life flourished for a time, how it was nearly extinguished, completely extinguished nearly during the Holocaust and the Second World War. And then slowly how that culture has sought to be, how people have tried to revive it, right, and reinvent it in Krakow in the present day. And so we'll be thinking a lot about the ways in which Krakow how Judaism has been reimagined in Krakow after the Holocaust. And so what we're looking at here, of course, is one of the gates into Auschwitz, and we'll be taking several trips or at least one trip to Auschwitz to see how Jewish life has been mourned, how it's been memorialized in these facilities, which were sites, of course, of tremendous horror and death.
Thank you. And other trips that we'll be taking, there will be several sort of day trips from Krakow. Auschwitz is a day trip, in fact, but there are other concentration camps that we will want to also see, like Majdanek, which is not far from the city of Lublin, which has very important Jewish history as well as Christian history, and happens to be the home of the Catholic University of Lublin, where Pope John Paul II, when he was a cardinal, was a professor. So we'll see Lublin. We will have an excursion to Warsaw. We'll spend a few days in Warsaw. In fact, we'll land in Warsaw and spend our first days there. We will also see the mountain town of Zakopane, and I'm going to go now to that shot as we close up this presentation. Hopefully you will see that in addition to a very difficult history that Poland has experienced, we also see profound natural beauty. And this is just a shot of the high Tatra mountain range that you can hike in. I will be happy to lead hikes through these mountains, and there's also other things to do, such as the thermal baths and things in that town, and look forward to really, really good meals afterwards. So those are just a few of the highlights, and maybe we can just say a few words about the courses that will prepare you for this trip. Ben, do you want to?
Sure. So if you've taken any religion Jewish studies courses, like religion studies Jewish 283, Jewish Studies 283, Experiencing Judaism, or Religion Jewish Studies 251, Faith After the Holocaust. There's all sorts of different courses in Jewish Studies that will prepare you for a trip like this.
And likewise, art history courses such as Arts 360, which is Borderlands, that's going to run this spring. Or if you're in Arts 363 now, War and Plunder, that will also be a good introduction to some of the issues that we'll talk about. Arts 220, which is early modern European architecture, and other courses like History 102, Europe in Crisis since 1815, or History 272, War and Holocaust in Europe. And these aren't the only ones. So we are eager to attract students from all disciplines and with a variety of interests. So if you have any questions about what might prepare you for this course, of course, don't hesitate to ask us. And finally, big question, will you have to speak Polish? Well, you will not have to come into this with Polish language, but you will have the opportunity to learn Polish phrases, and I will be leading some instruction on that. And Ben, I will just simply wrap this up by saying, dziękuję bardzo.
Dziękuję bardzo.
Do widzenia. So we look forward to hearing from you and to seeing you and your applications. Thank you.